So I'm going to talk a little bit about stress now. Stress, we all know stress is bad. Stress is one of the biggest killers in the world. It's the trigger for a lot of diseases. Most ill health all stems from stress. So we could be sleeping well, we could be eating amazingly, but if we're massively stressed, it's still going to affect us negatively. It'll undermine all the good work we do on everything else. What it does is stress. A little bit of stress is good. A little bit of stress, we're primed to run from the tiger in our caveman days. A tiger was there, our cortisol kicks in and our adrenal hormones kick in and we release blood sugar and we run from the tiger. What's happened over the course of the centuries is the stress has got more and more and more, and it's more chronic as opposed to short, sharp amounts. So chronic stress, in all different reasons, which we'll talk about afterwards, is really bad because you're constantly getting a drip feed of blood sugar via cortisol into your bloodstream. So, our body isn't primed to deal with stress on a continual level. Small amounts is actually really good for us, but small amounts of continued stress all the time is really bad. Obviously this constant sugar release helps us predisposes us to type 2 diabetes, as we know, weight gain, as we've talked about, all those other things that we've talked about over the weeks and when we were talking about sleep. So our body prioritizes making cortisol as a hormone over our other hormones. So when we're stressed, we're always producing cortisol. We're not actually producing our other hormones, and it's to the detriment of those as well. So there are lots of different types of stress. When we talk about stress, we often firstly talk about a stressful event. So, moving house, going through divorce, losing a parent, losing a loved one, family stresses, work stresses, and they're all very much more mental types of stress. But also there's physical stresses on the body. So there's exercising and not letting our body recover enough, which we've already discussed. That is a stress on our body. Overeating, binging, that puts a stress on our body and uses different hormones. Any kind of ongoing illnesses that we've got. So if you have ongoing thyroid conditions, underlying diabetes, skin conditions, it's all making our body more inflamed to stress. So smoking, drinking alcohol, daily toxins in our diet and our lifestyle, chemicals, perfumes, makeup, shower gel, all of these things our body has to cope with on an ongoing basis. And it's that overall load. Our body's designed to cope with a certain amount of stress and it handles it and manages it. But when you're putting everything in the bucket gets fuller and fuller and fuller, and then it occasionally overflows. So really, we can't just wake up and go, oh, let's just remove our stress. Life isn't that easy, we can't just get rid of all our stress, but what we can do is be aware of it and also learn how to manage it and reduce some of the stresses that we know. So just, if you smoke, stopping smoking. If you drink alcohol too many nights of the week, try and have alcohol-free days a week. Over exercising, have our rest days. Overeating, this whole course hopefully will help you become more satiated and satisfied with the food that we're eating, so we have less reason to overeat and eat too much of it. And just trying to keep yourself fit and healthy. Trying to have less perfumed products, trying to use less plastic and less foil in our daily diet. All these things are going to help contribute to lowering the physical stresses on your body. So I think also, it's finding your thing and finding your stress relief. We can't just switch off work stresses, but we can try and manage them a little bit more. So just be aware of being kind to yourself. I talk quite a lot about your growing to-do list. Our to-do list grows and grows and grows. You know, we expect so much more of ourselves every day. You know, we've got parents look after, kids look after, animals to look after, ourselves to look after, and we're often bottom of the list. I think it's just prioritising yourself and giving yourself 5 or 10 minutes in the day and saying, you know, this is my time. I need to prioritise myself, because if I don't prioritise myself, everybody else around me who looks to you for that central pivot of the family, you know, they don't function. So it's really important to just go, I need to prioritise myself even just a little bit, allowing myself to do this exercise class, allowing myself to go for a walk, allowing myself to try something different, and to, you know, giving yourself half an hour on a Sunday evening to prepare for the next week. You know, giving yourself that little bit of time, that little bit of mindful time, just to allow yourself to kind of calm down and alleviate that stress. Learning to say no is a really big thing. No, I can't fit that into my day. I'm already busy. What can I shift? Making that to-do list a bit shorter, saying that's not realistic. That's going to have to go into next week. What can I move into next week? What can I do less of? What can I not take on? No, so it's really prioritising that. Like I've talked about, movement, getting outside. So it's not, as we will have learnt on this whole, you will have learnt on this whole course, you know, it's about changing your training to be more aware of strength and balance and flexibility. Mindful walking can be more beneficial than a hardcore HIIT class. And hopefully Emma showed you this week that it all plays into the bigger picture. It's much more beneficial to stress, reducing your stress levels, than pounding the pavements every day. You know, incorporating those rest days is just as important as doing the exercise itself. Getting outside in the fresh air, working out in the woods, going for a walk and a run. There's lots of science to show that the things that you're inhaling when you're out walking are so beneficial for your immunity and reducing your stress levels. Box breathing is also another thing. I'm going to put a tip up, or actually it's a handout this week of how to box breathe, or square breathing that they call it. But there's lots and lots of science to show that just doing 4 rounds of box breathing lowers your cortisol and your stress levels. So, you know, even if you're in the office and you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, a bit stressed, or you just feel very elevated, it's just taking, you know, 3 or 4 minutes aside from your day to go and put yourself somewhere quiet and just reduce your heart rate. Extremely effective to just bring those stress levels down. It's great also if you suffer from anxiety or depression, and just being able to do this on a regular basis is it's free, it's easy, and when you know how to do it, you can just do it at any time, at any point during the day, and it really just decreases your stress levels. Mindfulness is another great thing. If you've not tried it, try it. There's some really good apps, like Calm is one app, and there's another meditation app which I can't remember now, but they're really good. Mindfulness.com, I think it's called. But anyway, I'll put it in the chat. Really good, free. They allow you to have a certain amount of sessions for free, and it's almost like guided meditation, but it's not as woo as you think it might be. It's a guided meditation that just focuses around breathing, so it's definitely worth giving a try. They do certain ones free, so you don't have to sign up to it unless you like it. Also very, very beneficial for children. They do different ones for different ages and different ones for different feelings. If you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling angry, but definitely worth a try, especially when you're going to bed or trying to go to sleep. And I think they do almost like music as well. So if you wake up in the night and you're struggling to get back to sleep, all worth a try, really. I think it's about finding your thing to alleviate those stress levels, giving yourself that time to find what you enjoy doing. And we've talked about reading, connection with others, you know, reaching out, going to a group, of finding a different thing to do that's your thing, that's good for you and that you enjoy doing, because I think it's a really important part of life that we overlook, and our stress levels are just getting higher and higher and higher. You know, when I see somebody in clinic and they've had a collapse, an illness collapse or a trigger, or they've had a condition that suddenly come up, an autoimmune disease that suddenly happened, you know, an eczema flare up, an IBS flare up, it's always linked to a stressful trigger, and that builds and builds and builds over time, and then something happens and your bath overflows. And I think it's really important to just be able to control that and find a tool that can help you manage that. There are lots of herbs and lots of supplements that can help with stress management. It's a very individual thing. Certain things work for some people, certain things work for others, and it's quite difficult in this forum to give anybody any specific advice, because it does matter on what medication you're taking and what's right for you. But there are certain things out there that are really good. But diet and lifestyle first. Try some of these tools. There's a lot of free things out there, and also just changing your diet, balancing your blood sugar will also massively help with irritability and your stress levels. But just find and explore, and be aware that, you know, there's a point we're all going to give, and we don't want to get to that point. We need help to get to that point. Yeah. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the last 4 weeks, and we'll see you in the live on Sunday and pick up any of the questions you've got from today. Okay, thanks.